Here we are. We are live. Another Monday where we do the Power Monday morning today. New time. Let's do the boot. Getting this going while people log in. We have a special guest coming this morning, so let's get it going. Woo! Hope everybody here had a great weekend. Kimberly, good morning. We are joining live this morning. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited about this call. I have a special guest. It's a good friend of mine. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Kimberly? Check, check. I don't know if you can hear me. And I have Lisa coming. Hello, hello. Check, check. Please just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. All right, we're getting started. And we have a special guest joining me this morning. Is a great friend of mine. Is such he became my mentor. Is the author of the book You Better, and this is the book that also inspired me to start the You Better consulting. We have some great things in the store. Oops, let me just get this one here. And we have the Nushes in the house. Good morning. Woo! Let's get this. Okay, so everybody put your hands together where you are. Let's just do this. Bring the energy up. You gotta do it. You gotta do it. There we go. Yes. I have a few people sending me messages here. They're trying to join us. Let me see here. Yep. Okay. And I'm just waiting for our guest to join. So, great friend of mine. His name is Ed Rocha. I mean, we call him in Brazil Rocha because Rocha. He's a mentor. He is an author. He's doing his PhD program right now. He's a counselor, and one of his theses is focused on spiritual and emotional intelligence. So, like, great conversations. And he's the type of guy that when we talk, my mind always does this, explodes. It's full of, I'm more energetic. And when you talk to him, he says that he's an introvert. It's like, it's hard to believe because he is so passionate about the things that he talks about. Now, he already sent me a message privately. Zoom, okay. Zoom, please. Because he's logging on Facebook, and I will send him the link again. Now, while he's coming, I just want to ask you guys quickly. You can either say it or tap on the chat. How did your weekend go? How did your last week go? Yes, he is in the house. Okay, so he's joining us. There we go. And before I introduce Ed, I'm just going to go very, very quickly here. So my weekend was full, and the craziest thing is that when we think that few things are going very well and some other things are not going that well, sometimes you have frictions, right? So I had a little friction with my spouse this weekend, the past week, and I was there just pouty and moody. And I had a conversation with a friend. I said, Sandro, get off your horse of what's his expression? His exact expression was, get off your horse of pride. Like, no, I will not. But again, this is when we figure that in so many areas of our lives, right? Like with spouses, with siblings, with moms, with my mother, even my mother, she called me and she said one thing that set me off. It's like, Mom, this is so wrong. And I was like, so combative. My business partner turns to me. It's like, what's wrong with you? Nothing is wrong with me. Why are you so combative? It's like, it's great when you come and let's go and positive energy and positive attitude, but they're only humans. And sometimes the challenge that can set us off a little bit. But the greatest thing is that I ended the weekend in a high note because I decided to get off the horse of pride. And I came to my ladies, like, I love you. I'm sorry. We're doing this together. And I starting the week in a high and positive note. But no more talking. It's not about me. It's about what our week will do. And I want to introduce you guys. So Ed, please, if you can join us on camera as well. Ed Rocha, fellow Brazilian, oh my goodness, a great friend, mentor, author. I think he's like on his 8th book right now, or 9th book. I know he wrote a lot of books. He did all his education in England. Now he's living here in Empire, and I am so blessed to have his wife as my business partner. And we are doing amazing things together. But no more delongs. So Ed, can you hear us? You need to unmute. Just message him here. Where is Ed?
All right.
All right. Ed is in the house. Welcome. OMG. I am so privileged and so honored to have Ed here with us this morning. Like we are truly blessed. Like this is awesome. So please, if you can introduce yourself. I said a little bit. I said you have like 8 books. I don't know if 8 or 9 or 10. You are a counselor, so many experiences, and living now in Empire, living Rio de Janeiro to living right here in Empire, which is a big change. But yeah, please introduce yourself. We are live on Zoom. We are live on Facebook as well. And afterwards, I will upload the link to my YouTube channel. And today, we will talk about emotional and spiritual intelligence. So no more delongs. Ed, please take the floor.
Hey, Sandro, thank you for having me. Good morning, everyone. And I'm just so excited that you guys would wake up early and get your daily dose of energy to start the day. I have 8 books published, and I'm working on my 9th right now. It's my first novel. I'm excited about it. I always wrote nonfiction. This is my first fiction, and I'm excited about it. Of the 8 books, 2 are translated to several languages, including Romanian, and I've been to 22 countries, or is it 23? 23 countries, speaking and a professional counselor for the past 10 years. And it's just a privilege to be here. Thank you, Sandro, for inviting me. And it's a topic I love, emotional intelligence. I've prepared a PDF that I shared with you, Sandra. Don't know if you got it, but it's in our chat there on WhatsApp, and you can make it available to everyone when you think is right, or however you think is right.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
that's what it is.
I can see my screen. There we go.
All right. And so emotional intelligence is just basically everything. It's how you're going to live your day, how you're going to live your life, how you're going to run your marriage. You need emotional intelligence. And so just want to introduce the topic by reading this first slide. It says, emotional intelligence, or EI, encompasses a set of core principles that fundamentally impact our personal life and professional lives. It involves the ability to recognize, understand, manage, and use our emotions in positive ways to relieve stress, communicate effectively, empathize with others, overcome challenges, and diffuse conflict. Emotional intelligence help individuals to connect with their feelings and turn intention into action and make informed decisions about what matters most to them. In a nutshell, emotional intelligence is the ability to do what you have decided to do, not what you feel like doing, what you feel like you want to do. For example, you've decided to wake up early in the morning to be on this talk, and that's emotional intelligence. It requires a high degree of emotional intelligence to say no to immediate pleasure, right? There was this study conducted, and it's done over and over again. And you put a little cookie in front of a child, a toddler, and you tell them, if you don't eat this cookie now, you just wait, and then I'll give you the whole package. Okay? Don't eat it. Put in front of him, so don't eat it, just wait. And they leave the room and leave the toddler there by themselves with the camera. And the study shows that 70% of the kids will go for the cookie, for the immediate pleasure, right? Only 30% will control themselves and wait for the promise of the whole package. And of course, the guy re-enters the room, and for those who manage to hold on, they receive the prize. So it's delayed pleasure, the ability to control yourself, to have a better result, a better outcome than the immediate satisfaction. Like I said, a simple example, just getting out of the bed early. You could have stayed a little longer, slept a little more, but you decided to, against feelings and emotions and desires, you're led and moved by decision. So being led by decision, not by desire. That's very, very important. Emotional intelligence will help you to deal with people, and that's one of the most important things that we have to do in our daily lives. You get out of bed, you go to work, whatever you do, you have to interact with other fellow human beings. And life is great, but there's some people in our lives that we didn't choose. You didn't choose them. They're there. Sometimes they are the gatekeepers for your success. You have to go through them if you want to go to the next stage. And it's important for you to know how to deal with these people that are in your life. You didn't choose them to be there. They have to be there. And you have to deal with them with emotional intelligence. For example, let's say you have some kind of stress, excuse me, with a coworker, and you say something that the coworker feels that was offensive. And nowadays it seems that everybody's finding some way of being offended at anything you say or do, right? And so let's say that he takes it to the boss, or before he takes it to the boss, he says, okay, you know, I'll talk to you about this. Before I take it to a higher level, before I email our boss about this behavior, or this what you said makes me feel really uncomfortable. Can we talk about this? And you got the person is tense and you can feel the tension. And the last thing that you need in your day is somebody bringing you more tension, right? And so you can explode at that person. You can be angry or mad or tell them the truth. And here is a big challenge that we all have, holding on to the truth. You see, one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that truth has many layers. And we as human beings, we are like an onion. We have many layers, right? And these are layers of intimacy. And being honest with somebody, it doesn't mean that you have to give them all the layers that you have. There are several layers of honesty. And this is something very important for us to understand. We are like onions. I want you to remember this. If you forget everything I say in this talk, remember the onion, the illustration of the onion. We are like onions. And every layer is a degree of intimacy closer and closer to your heart. You have to understand that different people will dwell in different layers of your heart. And even though you want to be truthful to everyone, not everyone deserves all the truth, right? All the layers of truth. For example, if I ask you how much do you make a year, it's none of my business. I don't have to know. Keep it to yourself. So right now, you're hearing me. I'm in an external layer of your heart. We just met here virtually, and there is a price to pay. If I want to get more intimate with you, I have to pay the price as I navigate through these layers to get closer and closer and becoming more and more intimate as I pay the price of relationship, right? So this coworker is in the outer layer. It's not somebody you chose to be in your life. It's just somebody that has to be there because the gatekeepers, be your boss, your director, or whoever is in your life right now. If you're a homemaker, maybe it's your husband or an in-law or somebody that you have a relationship with, and they're the gatekeepers for you to go to move on to the next level. How do you deal with them? You have to deal with emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence says, what I really want to tell you is to give you a piece of my mind, and I really want to tell you how you are a lazy person and you don't get your job done right, and your procrastination is delaying my results, and you have all this truth that you want to say, but you don't say. You hold it back because this person is an outer layer of your onion, and you have to deal with that person with diplomacy. This person has access to the gatekeepers. He can make your life more difficult. So you have to be emotionally intelligent and hold on, especially for those people that have a tendency to have outbursts of emotion and anger. And some people are, excuse me, they have micro explosions during the day, every day. and other people tend to control it more. But then when people push their buttons, they have a major atomic bomb explosion, right? So in either case, it's important that you remember to use emotional intelligence. Ask yourself, does this person really deserve my intimate response and my intimate truth of what I really believe about his performance at work? Does he really deserve it? Or where is he in this layer? In which layer of my life is this person? He's a coworker. I didn't choose to be with this person right now. He's being put in my life by somebody else. I have to see him whether I like it or not. He's in the outer exterior layer. I will treat him accordingly. So I'll put a smile on my face. And this doesn't mean that I'm being a hypocrite or that I'm lying. No, I'm giving this person the response that he deserves for being in an external layer, right? So he gets an external response. You think it this way. How would you treat a postman that just came to deliver your mail? Even if you're having a really bad day and you got stressed with your partner or your wife or spouse or child or coworker or dog, and you're having a bad day, the postman has nothing to do with your problems, right? He comes to deliver your mail. He says, "Good morning, here's your mail." What you do? You smile. Even though you don't feel like smiling, you use emotional intelligence to say, "Oh, thank you, Mr. Postman. Oh, thank you for my mail." And you pick it up and you are polite because this man, you know nothing about him. You don't even know his first name. And you're treating him with respect and you're treating him like a fellow human being, right? And so when you put people in the right layer, you treat them with the correct corresponding approach and diplomacy, your life is going to be easier. You're going to make people happier around you, and that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants to be happy. Human beings, they are attracted to pleasure and they flee from pain. If all you do is give them pain, 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 and sometimes the truth can be very painful. So it's very emotionally intelligent of you to hold the truth. It's not that you're lying, paying attention. You're just giving the measure of truth that that person deserves being in the layer that they are. I'm going to pause here to see if anybody has any questions, maybe Sandro or anybody else. And if you have, you can raise their little hand over there, right, Sandro?
I do have a question. Many of us in this call, we are investors and entrepreneurs. And a lot of times, especially when you have a project and have to raise capital, and you're dealing with people, I heard from some mentors that we have to let these individuals know what we're doing and the projects that we've done, so then they will feel confident in investing in our projects. But I was listening to another guy, like, it's not about you at all, is about the value that you're giving. And then when you're talking about this emotional intelligence that I have to give a layers, I very often feel that I have to literally give it all. So then that person will have the confidence to invest their money into my projects. But now I'm hearing a slightly different approach to it, and I don't give it all. Talking about emotional intelligence, how would I behave in these scenarios?
You know, the first person that comes to my mind when you mentioned that, if you think of historical figures, you probably heard of Abraham Lincoln, right? If I ask you, you know, make a list of 10 things you know that Abraham Lincoln had, you probably wouldn't know 3 of them, right? Benjamin Franklin, we know this great historical figure. Okay, tell me three things that he had accomplished, or we don't know. So our name precedes what we possess. So it's better to have a good name than bragging about yourself. And I know you're not talking in the perspective of bragging, but you're showing results. But I think the greatest result that you have is who you are. If you think, for example, the greatest historical figure ever is, for me, is Jesus, right? And Jesus, the historical Jesus, changed the world in before Christ and after Christ. What did he possess? What did he have to show his results? He didn't even own his own house. But the man changed the world with his word. Or if you think, if you're a spiritual person, if you're a Buddhist, for example, you talk about Siddhartha Gautama. And what did Siddhartha Gautama have? He could have everything because he was a prince, but he gave it all up to pursue enlightenment. And then he became, today we're talking about him. thousands of years later. And so these historical figures, they changed the world not because of what they had, but because of who they were.
So in the initiative she just mentioned here, are we talking about social currency, identity?
Yeah, you could name that. What I'm talking about is within you, right? I'm talking about your emotions. If you don't control your emotion and your emotions, nobody will. It's not anybody else's responsibility to control your emotions, to manage your emotions. It's not my wife's responsibility to make me happy or sad. That's a big, big mistake that people make, especially people who are married. They think, oh, I got into this relationship for you to make me happy. Man, that's wrong. You are responsible to make you happy, not your spouse, not your dog, not your child, nobody else. You are responsible to make yourself happy. In the same way, you are responsible to control your anger, to control your frustration, to manage your feelings. That's emotional intelligence. You put your mind over your emotions and you decide when to show which emotion to who. Does that make sense? And so to recognize, understand, and manage your emotions effectively, that's what we're talking about. Recognize, understand, and manage your emotions effectively. So instead of being controlled by anger and have an outburst, I will control my anger and I'll decide how much of it I show to you. Let's put it in this way. The moment I understand that I am the only person responsible in controlling my emotions, nobody else is, then I'm in control of my life. I'm in control of my responses.
Okay, so then on that note, if I'm understanding correctly, and I am out there in the market finding projects and trying to find investors, and again, when you have timelines, it's tricky, right? Because you want to get it done, but then if I'm controlling my emotions, should I come with a mindset of, okay, I already have the no, so be comfortable with the failure idea, because if I fail, it's just a step into my process of growth, and then keep moving, and then eventually the results and who I am will speak by itself, and then I'm going to attract more capital, more investors, more projects. Am I correct in my observation?
Yeah, in a sense, yes. The core of what we're talking about here is being led by mind and being led by your decisions, not being led by the way you feel. A lot of people get stuck because they are being controlled by their emotions. Instead of controlling them, they're controlled by them. So fear, for example, should I invest in this or should I not invest? I'm afraid. What if I lose my money? A lot of people don't make more money in real estate because they're afraid of investing. And yes, a lot of people lose when they invest, but the only people who make money are those who are willing to risk losing. Because if you don't put it on the table, if you don't bring it to the table to invest in something, yes, some people are more conservative and they prefer to make very little and hold on to what they have. But those are not the people that become millionaires, right? The ones that really thrive financially are those who are willing to take risks. Cardone, for example, big risk taker, right? Recently, he did that series on the TV where Undercover Billionaire. Don't know if you guys saw the show. If you didn't, I highly recommend it. And the challenge was to go to a new town where nobody knew him, and start from zero and create a $1 million business in 30 days, starting from zero. No car, nothing, just $100 bill and a backpack with his clothes. And he did it, and he went through the emotions. When you watch the show, I watched the series with my wife. I think it's 10 episodes. And one day he wakes up and he's like, come on, it's going to work. We're going to build this building. We're going to build this business. And the next day he's like, man, it's not going to work because I'm a big failure. And he's going through the emotions. But nobody else, of course, apart from the viewer watching the series, nobody he's dealing with knows what is going through inside of his heart, right? When, for example, in the real estate, talking about real estate, when you think about investing or buying something, there is risk associated to it. You may make money, you may lose, correct? Now, maybe inside of you, there's a turmoil of emotions, but you decide to go through with the business. You decide to go through with the project anyways, even with fear. So fear is an emotion. It should not limit me. It should not paralyze me. But it should be something that will help me make the right moves towards my goals. Does that make sense?
Yes.
In other words, I'll do it with fear anyway, because I understand that fear is a primal feeling in human nature that is there to protect me from harm. But it should not. It should protect me, but it should not paralyze me. And I keep moving on. And it's not just not fear. Some people feel depressed sometimes, and they, I'll call it medicating your demons. And it's a very, very dangerous path when you start to take drugs to medicate your emotions. I'm feeling depressed. I'm going to take this drug. I went to spoke to my doctor. He prescribed me this or that. It's a very dangerous path. The way we function as human beings in our chemistry, we have everything we need to control our own emotions. It's all here. All you have to do is, first of all, be aware, self-awareness, self-regulation, self-motivation. I should not need you in the morning to make me get up and go pursue my goals. It's important to have you. It's important to have a mentor. It's important to have a teacher, but I can't have you every day. I can't have you all the time. So it's important to have you give me that boost, but I have to be able to continue and self-regulate myself and have the self-awareness that, okay, I'm afraid, but fear should not control me. I thought about this deal. It is a good deal. It makes sense. Yes, there is risk, but there's also a big chance of profit. So I'm going to move forward with this, no matter how I feel about it, right? Let's talk about relationships. Most people here in this talk probably have a significant other. It's not going to be easy every day. You're going to have days when you're going to have stress. It's part of relationship. Why? Because the stress makes you grow. It's like going to the gym. Only the stress you put to those muscles are going to make those muscles grow. In a relationship without stress, in which we don't challenge each other, there's no growth. So the stress is important. That person is in your life to make you a better person. Now, how you deal with the comments they're making and how you deal with the emotions they trigger, because the more time somebody spends with you, the more they get to know you, the more they know how to push your buttons and make you angry. They know exactly what to say, when to say, to provoke your reaction. And so it's your job to control your emotions. So I've been married now for 21 years, right? My wife knows me very well. When she gets mad, she knows exactly what to say to, push my buttons. And I have learned, and she has learned, in these 21 years of marriage, to manage her emotions. And if I come to a point where I'm getting really upset and frustrated at something she's saying or doing, I'll simply say to her, hey, listen, I love you, and this conversation is taking me to a place where I don't want to be. So we're going to postpone this to a moment when we can talk to each other respectfully. Okay? I love you, and I turn my back and I'll leave. See you later. And so I'll go retreat, because retreat is very important. Retreat doesn't mean that you are a coward and you're running away from a fight. No, retreat just means, hey, I love you, I respect you, and if I continue this conversation, I will not treat you with the kindness, love, and respect that you deserve. So I'm going to remove myself from this moment until we both can manage your emotions well, so we can treat each other in the tone of voice, the love, kindness, and respect that we deserve. I'm going to pause there for any comments or questions that I may have. Hello, Sandro?
Yes, you can keep going.
Okay. So
wait, I'm sorry. I have something. Can you
Okay.
repeat that? Can you repeat this? I'm sorry. Can you repeat the sentence of your wife pushing the buttons? Because
Yeah.
because
Are
I
you
feel
married?
like, yeah, I am, and I'm doing the same thing to my husband, and I just
Right.
wanted to hear that from other people.
Oh,
So
yeah,
you're the
yeah,
speaker right
yeah.
now.
So when you're married and you're spending time with these people, they know exactly they know you intimately, and they know what to say when they're mad and angry. They know what to say to, we call it pushing your buttons, right? So the best response is, listen, we're going to take a pause in this conversation, all right? And I'm going to retreat so that we can come back to this topic when we're both calm and when we both can treat each other with the kindness, respect, and love that we deserve. Right now, I'm just overwhelmed, and I just need some time to retreat and put my emotions in order, put my heart in order, so I can respond to you with the kindness, love, and respect that you deserve. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, you also talked a lot about spiritual intelligence. And one thing that always intrigues me is that even individuals that don't believe in anything, that's a belief, right? Like we talk about beliefs. I'm not talking about religion or anything like that, but how, in your perspective, the emotional and spiritual intelligence, they tied each other together?
Oh, completely. So the PDF that I sent to you is only emotional intelligence. I just did a first slide of part 2 is spiritual intelligence, because the subject is so broad, and it's something that I love so much, because emotions just basically will make you or break you. Knowing how to deal with your emotions will make you or break you in any, because you see, we are not islands. We have to deal with people, whether we like it or not. I know some people love to be alone, like they're introverts. They prefer and they recharge by being by themselves, and others prefer and recharge by socializing, being with other people. But we all interact with people, whether we like it or not. And how we interact with people is going to influence our results. Even if you are, let's say, an investor and you do day trading and you're behind the screen all the time, at some point you're going to have to deal with the person. It may be the principal of your kid's school. Maybe it's a neighbor. The other day, I was walking my dog, right? And this neighbor and was doing something outside in his yard. And my dog, we were far away from him. My dog, we were walking the dog on the street, and my dog stopped to do his business, right? And the dog barely started to do his business, and the neighbor looked at me and shouted, "You're going to pick that up. You're going to pick that up, right?" And my immediate response in my mind was like to ask him, is this any of your business? Why don't you go, take care of your life? Why am I even looking at you or talking to you? And so all this went through my mind, but instead of responding him with that, for whatever reason I felt that way, I think the negative energy that he threw at me, the judgmental energy, "You're going to pick that up, right?" The tone of voice, he was being very dominant and aggressive to me. And as an alpha person, I could have responded in the same tone, and I could have told him, "Just mind your own business," could have said something worse, right? But I used emotional intelligence and I de-escalated in my mind. I smiled. I pulled up a little plastic bag, shook it, and showed it to him and said, "Of course, I'm ready for it." And then he was still grumpy. And then he went on and on about neighbors that don't pick up, their dogs' droppings and things like that. And I started a conversation with him. And I presented to him a version of myself that I'm proud of reporting to you guys now, that I was able to use emotional intelligence to give to that neighbor the best version of myself at that moment, right? Because the truth is, you never know tomorrow. I never know if tomorrow there's going to be a crisis. I may need that neighbor as an ally. And I see a lot of people burning bridges when they should be building them. We should be building bridges. You never know when you're going to need that person. Life is all about connectivity. We're all connected at some point. Somebody knows somebody that you're going to need down the road. And being mean and allowing yourself to outburst in your emotions. First of all, he doesn't deserve it, because he doesn't know me. I don't know him. I don't know what's his first name. So he doesn't deserve the inside of my onion. He doesn't deserve the response that I'll give to a loved one or somebody who I really care about. So he's in this external outer layer of my onion. It's the layer where I always smile and wave, like the penguins of Madagascar. It's this cartoon that my kids watch. And so that's emotional intelligence. Now, spiritual intelligence, and like you said, different people have different spiritualities. Go ahead.
But before getting there, Lisa, she asked an interesting question, and that resonates with me as well. Because there are individuals, and I will include my wife on that they have a sarcastic approach to their responses. Now, I don't have, especially in English, like sarcasm. When people are being sarcastic, I don't pick up like quickly. Sometimes take me days to understand a joke, and sometimes people are being sarcastic, and I feel like, oh, that was rude or that is hurtful, but the person is just being sarcastic. How do I manage my emotional intelligence when I'm dealing with a sarcastic person?
Yeah, sarcasm is a way of attacking. Is a polite way of attacking. Is a very good weapon of choice for female North Americans in general, because I can attack you without attacking you, and I can give you the excuse. Oh no, it's just a joke, right? It's just a joke, but I'm actually being passive aggressive. So the best way to deal with that, in my opinion, and the way I do it, is silence. At that moment, I decide that person doesn't deserve my attention. You see, what do you think is the most important thing you have? It's not your house, it's not your car, it's not how much money you have in the bank. The most important thing you have is this: your eyes. You know, when Johnny Depp was in trial and the whole internet saw it, you notice that he never looked at his ex-wife. And he said to her before the trial, "You will never see my eyes again." Because your eyes are the windows to your soul. And when you deny people your eyes, you're denying them the very access to who you are. So the best response the best response you can give to somebody that is being passive aggressive to you is the silence and look away. Because now, look, you don't have my eyes, so we're not connected. The moment I look at your eyes, you look at my eyes, we're connected. Our souls are connected. This is the spiritual. Like you said, whether you believe in nothing, you still have a spiritual intelligence inside of you. And some people believe in crystals, some people believe in Buddha, some people believe in their ancestors, and that's fine. Whatever you believe, as long as you believe in something or believe in yourself, and it's all a spiritual connection. Even if you just believe in yourself, I believe in God. I believe that God created the heavens and the earth. I have a spiritual connection with God, and that has served me really well. And I want to encourage you to connect with your own spirituality, whatever it is. I respect it. Just if you believe in that, go for it. Go for it. Search, connect with your spiritual side. Your spiritual intelligence is a very important and recent subject that people are being more and more open to talk about. And, you heard of emotional intelligence before. It all started with this book from Michael Gladwell, and when this bus driver in New York treated him with love and kindness and respect, and he watched that, and he started to talk about emotional intelligence, the ability to control their emotions. Now, recently, people started to talk about spiritual intelligence. 98% of the world is spiritual in some way. People believe in some kind of spirituality, and having an intelligence to know how to navigate that spirituality, especially in the connectivity that we have nowadays, is very, very important for the success in any area of our lives. I'm going to pause in for see if anybody has any questions, because I want this to be interactive. I don't want to just sit here and babble for as long, however time I have, how much time I have.
Yeah, so Lisa, she made a comment here, and she's saying, I found that many people are proud of their sarcasm. What does it tell about their personalities?
Well, like, for example, you give the example of your wife. She is sarcastic. I know your wife. I know she's sarcastic. My wife is very sarcastic.
Sorry, got it. So, so if you can repeat that, please.
I said, you give the example of your wife who is sarcastic. And I know that my wife is also very sarcastic. I have one of my best friends, and he's a billionaire from California. He's the most sarcastic person I've ever seen. Like, every other phrase out of his mouth is, some kind of joke, some kind of form of sarcasm. I'm not a sarcastic person. I don't know. I couldn't, even if I tried, I couldn't be sarcastic. So, excuse me. A lot of people will hide their real meaning and their real emotions behind a sarcastic comment because they want to avoid conflict. Most people, if they can, they will avoid conflict. Most people, if they can, they will avoid sitting down and looking at somebody and going through something they need to talk about, because there's an elephant in the room. So it's easier to just joke about it, in the hopes that the person will catch a drift and make a change. I understand there's room for that, and I understand there are moments in our lives that we should avoid conflict and we should avoid confrontation. But confrontation is the only way forward in any area of your life. I call them the gatekeepers. You've heard me say that expression before. Gatekeepers are people who are on the way at the gate of a place where you need to go. You need to go through them, whether you like it or not. It may be a boss, may be a coworker, it may be a family member, it may be your spouse, it's somebody in your life that is there, and he's the gatekeeper of that next level of success that you want to attain. So you have to use emotional and spiritual intelligence to know how to deal with them. Now, if the gatekeeper is sarcastic, understand it. Embrace the fact that he's sarcastic. Laugh at their jokes. The best way to break a sarcastic person is laughing with them. They go and make a comment about you, right? It's all have a little, wince, or a little some body language there to kind of give you a hint that they don't really mean what they said. It's just being sarcastic, and you just go just laugh at, let's laugh about this. Oh yeah, right. And then you go on, and that's emotional intelligence. Oh, am I being a hypocrite? Am I being a hypocrite by doing this? No, you're not being a hypocrite. Again, remember, you're not just 0 or 1. We are all very complex beings. Like I said, your heart should be layered. Your heart should be layered. And I always use this example for you to understand. You don't go to a person you just met and tell them how much you make a year. That's your problem. That's your business. And the same way, you don't tell people how intimate you are with your wife or your friend or your spouse, how many times you have sex during the week. That's your problem, right? Maybe for you and your doctor and your psychiatrist or psychologist to know, or your professional counselor or therapist to know, but it's not information that you put there on Facebook. Hey, good morning. Today I had sex with my wife. We usually have it like every other day. You don't post these things. Why? Because there are layers to your life. And you have to know how to put every person in the correct layer. If we do that, it's going to make a huge change in our everyday dynamics. Knowing who is who and where they should be in the different layers of our heart is a very, very important key for success.
Now, I have a question. As I'm listening to your talk, I think about the season we are in. So, as an investor, or I know many investors that right now are suffering a tremendous amount of pressure. Interest rates are very high. We can find the right deals. Sellers, they are crazy with their ask. The banks are like, it's just it's just crazy out there. And many of us, we did get ourselves into a lot of projects that now they're turning into nightmares, right? So one of the challenges that I often see when I'm talking to some of these individuals is that I've been encouraged to still be out there making connections, networking, and putting my word out there, showing the opportunity, showing the numbers, because I want to attract more network, more people, more opportunities, more projects. And yet, we may have these challenges hovering our head, and it's that conflict, right? It's the imposter syndrome. Oh my goodness, I did this, and now it's sinking. How I continue to talking about things that are happening, because I know I have this person here that their capital is trapped in that deal. What is going to do? And like in the mental health capacity, or even people saying, I can find a single opportunity, or I have an amazing deal. How the numbers they worked, but I have to give up because the investors they are just not jumping on the opportunity, and that can make or break an individual mentally. How we deal with these challenges from the emotional and spiritual intelligence perspective.
Right. So this is how I do it. One of the things I did in my life was for 5 years I worked in a rehabilitation center for drug addicts. Right. 1 year in Spain, 5 years in Brazil. 6 years total, I worked with rehabilitation of drug dependence, and as a professional counselor, helping them to overcome their addiction. One of the programs that we use, commonly used by rehabilitation centers around the world, is the 12 steps model. You probably heard of the 12 steps. And in this model, one of the things that we teach the students, we call them students, is to acknowledge a higher power, acknowledge the existence of a higher power. Why? Because we all need help. And especially when you are alone in a rehab center and you've been forsaken by friends and family because you've betrayed them in most cases, and you've stole their TV to sell for drugs, and you burned every bridge. And now these guys are completely alone. Even their mothers have forsaken them because of their addiction. It's important to have an ally. And so encourage them to believe, to believe in a higher power. You may call it God or whatever your religion, whatever your belief system is. It's very, very important that you believe. And so I do believe in a God, creator of the universe. And I believe this God is a God of love. And I believe everything that happens, everything, nothing is a coincidence. Everything has a purpose. I believe he's in charge. So if I'm working on a deal and the deal doesn't go through, I believe that it's because my higher power knows what's best for me, and he's helping me and guiding me, even in deals that don't go through, even in doors that are closed. The open door is from God, and the closed door is from God. So if you believe, for example, in karma, or if you believe in your ancestors, I want to respect every belief here. But it's important to believe in something. Like you said before, even if somebody says, oh, I don't believe in anything, so you believe in nothing. Even that is a form of belief. You believe in nothing. So it's important for us to understand that having a higher power, like I said, in the background of rehabilitation centers, is what helps most people overcome their addiction, is believing that there's a higher power that is helping, that is a good and positive and loving higher power that is helping you to become the best version of yourselves. Some people call it fate, so other people call it karma, whatever you want to name it, but believe that there is a higher power guiding you. And like I said, my own experience, and I'm 53 years old, I always believed in God, and God is like a big friend to me, and I believe that he's guiding me in every step of the way, and it has served me really well. So in the example that you give, I would say to you, believe that your higher power is closing that door, and say, okay, this deal didn't go through because my higher power is protecting me from a terrible outcome in the future. I shouldn't go this path. I shouldn't go through this path. So I'm going to connect with my spirituality and say, all right, guide me and lead me to the good deals and close the doors of the bad ones. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. It does make sense. And sometimes we are already there, right? Some of us, we are already there. Oh my goodness, the word is falling. And then again, when you are in that predicament and you have to deal with an investor, an angry investor, or the bank not renewing the mortgage, or
yeah, I think in that case, sorry to interrupt you, I know where you're going. I think in that case, it's important to, before you get somebody on board with you, it's important to let them know, listen, I'm not promising this is going to work. There's a risk in everything we do. Nothing is guaranteed. We don't know if we're going to draw the next breath. I mean, my wife is now working in the flower business, right? With you. And I've learned that I was impressed and shocked to learn how many young people die very frequently in our little town, right here in Arn Prior. And the other day, I was talking to her, and she talked about the funeral of this 25-year-old girl. And I said, what she died? And she was in a snowmobile accident, 25 years old, boom, gone. So what do we really have any guarantees? We don't have any guarantees in life. We're not guaranteed to be alive tomorrow. So we must make the best we can right now of each moment. And so when I get anybody to be involved with me in any project, I'll tell people, listen, this may work, this may not work. So if it works, yay, we're going to celebrate. If it doesn't work, we're going to count the loss and we're going to move on. Now, don't come here crying, complaining. You have to be a grown-up person and understand there's risk to anything. That's how the big players do. Recently, they were trying to indict Trump. because he had a business, a real estate business that he started. He got investors, he got money, he got loans, he did all the work, and the business didn't work. The building that he was planning to build, it didn't go through, so he had to go claim bankruptcy and tell everybody sorry, and the banks, most of the money was lost by the banks, and they were trying to use that against Trump. You probably heard this story, for him not to run for president. And I don't know what's your individual view here about Trump, and that's not my point. You may love him or hate him, and I'm okay with both. My point is that as a real estate investor, his response was, listen, these people are not kindergarten children. These people are sharks. The people I got the money from, they are sharks. They're investors. They know it's fish eating fish world out there, and they know the risk. And they knew that we could make a lot of money or we could lose money. And when they started, and I wasn't fooling anybody, everybody knew it didn't work. And so I called bankruptcy because, of course, he starts every business venture creating an LLC. Nothing's in his name. There's always a corporation. And he claimed bankruptcy for that corporation. And he said, but you know what? Most of these people were bankers, and their money was insured anyways. The insurance company covered it. So it's very important, I think, answering your question, Sandro, that whoever is getting investors to put in a deal, right off the bat, be honest with them and tell them, guys, I've done the math, I've done the homework, and this looks like a great deal, but unless, disclaimer, full disclaimer, it may not work. It may work or it may not work. There's always a risk factor, and it requires faith. It requires faith. I believe this is going to work, right? And faith is spelled R-I-S-K.
Okay. It's more, and that component, many of us, we do that disclaimer. It's more about our mental state when you're going through these challenges. And I am just coming from the perspective of the emotional intelligence. How do I keep myself composed?
Right.
How do I treat my emotional intelligence? To go through these conversations, to answer the phone call. Sometimes the phone rings and the person thinks, oh my goodness, I gotta answer Ed. I gotta answer Ed.
I see what I understand. So I believe that, and this is very neglected, it's time to recharge. If you take time to recharge, you find out however it is that you recharge emotionally. For me, it's solitude. My wife and my friends know I need solitude. I need to go into a little shack in the middle of nowhere and be by myself, listening to the birds chirping, and that's it. That's how I recharge. I need to be by myself. I'm giving an example of a cabin. That's my a dream moment, just being by myself in a cabin in the middle of the woods. That's why I love hunting. It's not so much for the hunting itself, it's for the solitude. It's been scientifically proven that males need times of solitude to recharge the testosterone. Your brain cannot replenish your testosterone as a man while you are dealing with kids and the dog and the parrot and the cat and the wife and the boss. While all this is going on in your brain, the brain is busy dealing with all these people around you. It cannot replenish your testosterone. That's why the man needs to retreat to a time of quietness and solitude and silence. Women need to replenish their emotions, replenish themselves. A lot of times, there are exceptions, but a lot of times is with intimate connection. Women need to be intimate. That's why when, and I understand there's a lot of different approaches and topics and beliefs about, don't want to get into the gender talk right now. I, again, respect whatever you believe. But what I'm saying is, if you feel like you are a male, then you'll have to replenish your strength by being by yourself. If you feel you are a female, you need to replenish your strength by connecting intimately with others, significant others, right? So in your case, Sandro, you are male. You have to have times of solitude. And I know you are outgoing, you are an outspoken person, you are very happy and flamboyant. I love that about your personality. But the truth is, as a male, and this beard on your face just shows how much testosterone you have. You have to have times of solitude when you retreat and just replenish your emotions. Go listen to some music you like. Go eat something that you like, that you like to eat. Treat yourself. If you can, take a day off. Go to a spa. Whatever it is, find your happy place. Because if you don't find your happy place, you're always giving. Monday you're giving, Tuesday you're giving, Wednesday you're giving, Thursday you're giving, Friday you're giving, Saturday you're giving, Sunday you're giving. You start to be just this spiritual zombie. And now you have nothing else to give because you didn't stop to replenish yourself. So how do I answer to that phone call? I answer that phone call from a place where I had my time alone. I had my time to replenish my emotions. I listened to that music I love. I had that foot massage. I ate that dish that I like. I did that thing that gives me pleasure and put me in a good place. And now I can talk on the phone and answer whoever and say whatever they need to hear. Tony Robbins talks about it in his book, and I highly recommend it, Awaken the Giant Within. It's a book, it's like almost as old as the Bible. He wrote it in the 90s, and it's still an amazing classic. So Tony Robbins, Awaken the Giant Within. In this book, he says, the way I do it, I prepare a bath with salts, and I get into that bathtub, and the temperature of the water is perfect for me. And I put this classic music that I love to hear, this Mozart in the background, and I put some candles, and it's just me. It's not for, he talks about it in the book. It's not, he has moments like that with his wife, but that's for him. He's treating himself. Then he gets a piece of chocolate, his favorite chocolate, like his Swiss chocolate, his favorite. He'll get his chocolate, he'll get his wine, a strawberry, whatever he likes to eat, put next to the bathtub. He'll get in that bathtub and just treat himself, because you can only give what you have.
Wow, I love it. No, this is amazing. We are coming to the end of the call, and before let you guys go with your day and getting pumped for this week, I would love to hear anybody has any comment, any questions. Let's take this opportunity.
While people are making comments there, Sandro, let me just say, if you like the topic of emotional intelligence, check Dr. Travis Bradberry. The work of Dr. Travis Bradberry. He wrote Emotional Intelligence 2.0. Emotional Intelligence 2.0. Dr. Travis Bradberry. Great book. I highly recommend it. Check it out if you like the topic.
Yes, and Paul, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, like, on the one hand, you were saying about how to deal with people that are passive aggressive when they make sarcasm part of their response to stressful situations or discussions or something. So, on the other hand, what is a person supposed to do if they're not using that sarcasm?
You have, first of all, you have to decide, where is this person on my layer of emotions and my emotional layer? Is this an intimate person? Is this a family member? Is this somebody who is in my outer layer? Is this an investor? So once you decide where they are, that will be equivalent to the level of truth and the level of emotion they receive from you. Does that make sense? For example, let's say you're talking about a cousin. Is not an investor that you just know the first name or the email. You know, a cousin. So let's say he's here. He's maybe not as close as your spouse, but he's in the middle. He's going to have a different treatment than this guy that you just know the name and the email that you met on Facebook and is an investor with you. You're going to give him a different treatment. So the first step is to recognize where this person is. Because a lot of times we make the mistake of treating everybody the same, and not everybody is the same, right? For example, we're talking here, we don't know each other, so we are in an exterior level of our onion, emotion onion. How much I know about you, how much you know about me will grow as we continue to have a relationship. So the first thing I would say to you is, you have to define, where is this person in my onion? And I'll treat that person accordingly to the level of intimacy that they have or they don't have. right? So if they're sarcastic and they are the postman, for example, the postman came and made a sarcastic comment, smile and wave. He's going to be out of your life in 5 minutes. That's one treatment. Now, if it's your spouse being sarcastic, that's a different story. You're going to see her tomorrow and again and again and again. So perhaps that's something that has to be addressed. And let's say that the sarcasm is something that bothers you, you can come to the spouse and say, hey, listen, we've been together for all this time. We love and respect each other. And I need to tell you, when you treat me with sarcasm, I don't appreciate it. And I want you to know that it's important to me that you don't treat me with sarcasm anymore, for example. So that's a level of confrontation, because the person is in the inner layer of your onion, and you're going to have to deal with her over and over again. So you address it with more, intensity, let's say. Does that make sense?
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right, guys. Wow, 8 o'clock. I could keep listening to it for another hour. Ed, thank you so much for coming this morning. I hope to have you again to help us start the week in a high note. And if you guys want to connect, he sent me the PDF with the topics for this conversation, and I will send it to you guys on the group so you can have access to the whole conversation there. And you said at the end of the PowerPoint, you mentioned that you have a part 2. Would you like to talk the part 2 next week? Can we do that next week?
Yeah, part 2 is about spiritual intelligence, because we talked mostly about emotional intelligence here. And of course, this is such a broad topic. It's hard to just talk about emotional intelligence for an hour. So I sent you the link, Sandro, for the book. I highly recommend it. It's Emotional Intelligence Quick Book. And you can get it on Kindle, and you can get it on Audible. And I sent you the link there and you can share with them. And so I highly recommend that you guys invest time learning more about emotional intelligence, because it will affect every aspect of your lives.
I love it. Thank you very much, and I hope you guys stay blessed by the best. Have an amazing week. Let's crush it. Let's achieve our goals. Let's go through the giants, the mountains. Let's get them out of the way. Sometimes, for other people, what is a roadblock, we should see as stepping stones. We are here for each other, and if you can help and keep encouraging each other. Let's get it. Before I go, Lisa and Kimberly, Danusha, you guys want to add anything else? Paul, thank you very much, guys, for coming. If you guys have nothing else to add, let's have an amazing week. And I see you guys. Well, we have this Wednesday, we'll be talking about, we'll have Mark be in the evening. We have going to have a quick webinar talking about the project in Regina and RSPs and why not. I'm going to be creating the group soon. If you guys want to join, it would be amazing. Otherwise, I see you guys next Monday at 7 a.m. Stay blessed by the best. Have a
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for coming, Ed. I see you at the top, brother. Take care, guys. Bye.